It is the final day of August, and I am jacked to the tits today. We are going to have an awesome show. We're talking about all the data that came out, personal incomes, personal spending, inflation, all of that good stuff, and more today on Money Never Sleeps. Welcome back, everybody. I'm JWeb. That's Kevin. Thank you for being here with us today. As we get going, do us a few favors. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, hit that tweet that I posted above. Tell Gary that he needs to resign, that bozo. But nothing we say on this show is financial advice. We're not financial advisors. We're a few guys who love following the markets. Excited to be here with you today. But please do your own research before making any buys or sells. Kev, last day of the month, an hour and a half left in the TradFi markets for April. We got about 5.5 hours in the crypto markets before the monthly close. It's been a pretty ho-hum day in TradFi. The excitement has been in crypto. We saw a little bit of a sell-off there. We've given back most of the gains from earlier this week. We see that Bitcoin is just above 26K. ETH is around 1660. Solana below $20 now. The green on the board has been from stablecoin dominance. The USDT dominance is back over 8%, USDC over 2.5%. So people are moving money into stables. The scam pump has come to an end, it would appear. What all are you looking at? And then we will get into some of the numbers from this morning and how that could affect further movement from the Fed.
Yeah, definitely. I think the monthly close is the most important thing for crypto right now. Obviously, some things haven't gone as well as I'd anticipated for some of those levels, key levels that we would have seen. But again, that pump that we saw the other day, we see that maybe dominance of Bitcoin isn't pulling alts down nearly as much as it should have. But again, I think that we are in a place right now where even if Bitcoin decides to be, the one that moves, alts will eventually move. So again, for bearish, lookout, I think that everything is lining up pretty well. I'm not scared in any way of anything except for maybe another scam pump in September, but who knows? I just, for some reason, I have a funny feeling that there is going to be another one. I just don't think it's going to be when you expect it. I think that they still have to trap a lot of bulls because a lot of people ate crow today, right? We had tons of people on social media saying, Bitcoin's going to fucking the moon because of that Bitcoin ETF. And I think people got too excited too fast, and this market humbled them, and this market will humble them. So that's why I said survive August, because this was a key month for us to get through. And now I think the fireworks are going to start to begin going out of Q3 into Q4.
Yeah, we still have one more month in Q3. Everyone has beaten to death the narrative that September is bad for the markets. Remains to be seen if that will be true this year. Let's talk about some of the data that came in this morning. We saw numbers for personal income at 0.2% month over month, down under the expectation of 0.3%. And that was also the same 0.3% was the last month number. So, we're seeing people starting to make a little less money. That's a positive for the Fed. Now, personal spending was up. It was higher than expectation. It came in at 0.8% month over month. The expectation was 0.7%. Last month, it was 0.5%. So those kind of the positive and negative kind of balance themselves out right there. So then we'll look at inflation. PCE came in at 0.2% month over month. That was at expectation, same as last month, but 3.3% year over year. That was up from the previous month of 3%. The core number that strips out food and energy, that's the one that the Fed prefers to look at, 0.2% month over month, at expectation, same as previous month, 4.2% year over year, slightly higher than last month at 4.1%. I can't believe I got through all of that without fucking any of it up. Kudos to me. Here's the thing. There have been a lot of talks about, we got the seasonal adjustments here. And, that was, and that could very well be true. I think this is a number where the Fed is probably content with this, meaning that there's a high likelihood, I think it's pretty much locked in now. We have one more CPI print to come out before the Fed meeting. But I think it's a damn near certainty that we see the Fed skip a rate hike in September. The probability for a rate hike on November 1st is still close to 50-50. And that is going to be dictated by what we see in, tomorrow's employment data is going to be a big part of it. I think, the expectation is for a moderate, gain in inflation there. It'd be down from the previous month. Now, if we come out tomorrow with a blowout in, jobs report, let's say, we had one, let's say it was earlier this year or maybe late last year, it was like 500,000 jobs were added and the expectation was like 200K. If we
Yeah.
get something crazy like that again, then the Fed is in a really, really weird space. Uh, so I'm not really sure, you know, it seems unlikely, but never, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Okay. So tomorrow we need to see what the job number looks like, what the employment rate is. It's still expected to be at like 3.5%. That is continues to be historically low. And that is not going to make the Fed happy.
No, I think if we get a number like that, that's definitely going to be pushing the Fed more likely. Plus, whatever CPI data that we do get before the Fed meeting, I think there's still a chance for a 25 base point hike. I think that's real. I think the reason is because we're seeing inflation kind of tick up here. Now we got two readings within the month of July, CPI and PCE, that are showing that inflation is, staying fairly sticky, right? It's not something that we want to see. Now I want to see the CPI data for August, which comes out in September, because I think that's going to give the Fed a little bit of guidance on what they're going to anticipate from that PCE number following later for September or for August. So I'm really interested on the data. I think this is actually be one where the Fed needs to be data dependent, other than just like saying that and everyone getting pissed off. I actually think that's going to be huge for them. And the thing that's really weird is if inflation's going up but jobs are coming down, at some point we have to question, do they need to tighten more, right? Because even if jobs are, say unemployment comes in at 3.7, 3.8 tomorrow, don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be pretty much on par with expectations. But if it does come in, like jobs are going down, but inflation remains to be extremely high, uh, or at least sticky in this situation, uh, the Fed really is going to be put in a pretty hard place. Like even I wouldn't know what to do. I think that it's almost like reminiscent of stagflation in some
Even
way.
you wouldn't know what to do, Kevin, but you always know what to do.
I said it what 12 months ago that 800 basis points done in a month, everything would be fine right now. But no, they decided to play this game.
Eight hundred.
Hey, Argentina knew what was up,
I
man.
was just gonna say that's some Argentinian level interest rate hikes right there. I
But
dig it.
yeah, absolutely right. It's a really weird place. And again, I'm bringing up stagflation, even though I don't want to bring that up. But it seems like if jobs continue to, the labor market tightens really bad to the point where it's like, okay, people are losing their jobs. There's not as many jobs available, but inflation remains high. Not a good situation. So they have to make a decision and it has to be swift. And I think that skipping a meeting here, if the data comes back kind of, muddy like that, that might be a dangerous thing for the Fed going forward.
Yeah, they're starting to have the stagflation conversation over in Europe with how rough the interest rates are and GDP is over there. Yeah, take a drink. End of month. We should probably do maybe like the monthly close from now on. We do like a happy hour show so that we can actually like lean into the money never sleeps drinking game. But either way, they're having that conversation in Europe. It wouldn't shock me if they started having it here. A lot of really smart people are expecting we're going to see a reacceleration in inflation. And it's kind of lining up. We see that the price for oil has begun to climb again. Like I'm seeing WTI crude at 83 a barrel right now. It's getting back up there, man. Back to the levels of November of 22. Brent, I think, is also in like the 87s, 88 range. There are a lot of things in play for potential reacceleration of inflation. And you can, like, there people, it's so funny how everyone wants to, you can do a lot with numbers. You can get them to say whatever you want them to say. And people will point to, oh, well, the Fed strips out food and energy. Well, guess what? The headline numbers have been the one that doesn't strip out food and energy. And they've been talking about it as a positive. So at some point, we're going to have to kind of backtrack a little bit there. But I think September is going to be, it's going to put the Fed in a really weird spot because we're going to get that data. They're going to go about a month and a half between the September meeting and the November 1st meeting. And a lot can happen in that period of time. Like we've said, historically, September is terrible for the markets. People are coming back from vacation. Volume starts to pick back up. August was a historically low month as far as trading volume goes. People just, and that's because people don't know what to do. Like so
Yeah.
many people are like confused right now and are just, their heads are spinning. They don't know what numbers to believe. They don't know what's up and what's down. So it's a really, to me, in these situations, just and people are following, like, just do less. Like, you don't need to really be making a whole lot of trades right now. So just something to keep in mind there.
I will say this.
Crypto. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to make a conviction bet that the Fed is forced to cut rates within the
Of course,
next six
cut rate.
in the next 6 to 8 months. I think they're going to break something.
Okay. You think
That's a
you think
conviction bet.
it's I keep hearing, I heard a guy from Moody's on Bloomberg today saying that, like, they're not worried about the banks and
The
that,
banks are fucked, guys. I'm sorry, they are. It's I that's what I'm really afraid of. But there's a lot of stuff going on. Uh, Fucking Country Garden saying that they're going to default on some of their payments.
seems
Evergrande
good.
absolutely says that we're done. Yeah, we're just not going to pay anyone else out anymore. Um, Something's going to break, in my opinion. I think that people that are bullish, hoping that the Fed cuts rates, careful what you wish for.
Yeah. I listen, the Country Garden thing is just not great. Like, nothing in China is great right now. I still need to it's not
Take a
great.
drink. Take a drink.
I still need to figure out the infrastructure for our shadow bank, but we'll get to that down the road, okay? What else, that's all the economic data from today. We are seeing, once again, kind of ho-hum numbers in TradFi. It's pretty boring out there. The Nasdaq is up a little bit. We're seeing bond yields move down across the board pretty much. The 10-year, close to 4 now. The 2-year at like 4.85. It had been as high as 5.1 earlier in the week. So, money moving out of bonds, potentially back into equities. We'll see. I mean, crypto could very easily continue to slowly bleed while equities remain hot in September. It wouldn't surprise me at all. The dollar, there's so many just like counter indicators right now.
Yep.
Like, dollar's up a little bit. The VIX is down at 13.6. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. While at the same time, bond yield, like, there's just so many people are getting fat and happy and complacent at this point. And maybe we do have a strong remainder of the year. But like, something's gonna happen eventually. Like, it's not great, bank. Yeah, good call, Chris. I think that would be that would be it's not great. That would be a great name for our bank. But anyway, it still feels to me like a good time. You know, I don't know if people want to trust Coinbase, but you can get 4.6% in USDC on Coinbase right now if you want to. Like, I still have no problem sitting in cash, earning 4 or 5% on that, and just kind of waiting, because the less moves I make right now, the better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with a lot of people, especially when we get into the red zone, and I think we are in the red zone, September, October, and I'm calling it that's the red zone. Uh, I think the problem is people overthink the markets, and even I'm guilty of this sometimes, right? I saw a lot of data last night that kind of, in some ways, just made me think that we are going to see another scam pump. I do think we are going to see one in crypto, right? I think they're going to screw bears and bulls over before the rug absolutely collapses. What could that be? Capitulation event. Most likely, something is going to happen where crypto does decide to go down, especially with this monthly close today. It's a very important one, and yeah, we'll look at it when we look at Bitcoin. But the dollar is one thing that I've been keeping an eye on, and it's so important. And I think a lot of people are just giving up on the dollar just because equities have been going up like crazy, right? And we saw a bit of a pullback at 104. However, when I look at the dollar right here, we're in this massive, massive bull flag, and we've been putting this since the height of this pull was in September of 2022, and we went all the way down here in July to under 100. So we were under 100. We're at 103.6 today, and that was after bouncing hard as could be off the daily 200 EMA, right? So once we got the data, it's funny that this is happening, that the dollar didn't have a bad day based off of news, because usually that's the only thing that shoves that fucking thing down. It bounced, and that's great. And again, if you're a bear, this is a good thing to see, because I think that now, with how oversold it's going to be on the daily, the dollar, I think that there is room for this 105.651. I
We'll
think
also say, Kev, on the macro to that, like, look at how overbought the euro US dollar pairing is as well, and how shitty the news is out of Europe. It is
exactly.
We've seen the euro gain on the dollar so far this year as equities have run hot, but it's peaked, and now it is in a super overbought territory. And so it wouldn't be surprising at all, right? Like, look at that. Like, it wouldn't be surprising at all to see. And when that comes down, that, the euro is the front part of that pairing. So that would be bad for the euro, good for the dollar.
Exactly.
It wouldn't shock me in the least bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like things are lining up, right? I think people have given up on the dollar because they think that stocks and crypto are just going to be ripping because we're in a bull market. We're not. I'm sorry. I'll be as honest as can fucking be. I think that what we're seeing here is an oversold dollar that's it's putting in a pattern that's historically been, usually breaks to the upside. And we see that we bounced off the 50 moving average on the monthly. We're above the 50 and the 200. I just don't see a scenario where we could say, that this is a bearish take for the dollar. So what I'm thinking is we're going to see this shoot up, right? I think that we're going to, correct this stochastic RSI. I think that going into September, we're going to start seeing some of these levels be taken out. I think we're going to break from this, 105, 107, 109. Those are all targets that I'm keeping an eye on. But again, we're going to take this one step at a time. I think the CPI data that we get for the month of August is probably going to push this up a little bit, especially if it comes in hot. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. And again, if the Fed does decide to raise rates, the dollar's obviously going to have a pretty strong move to the upside. We're going to, even look at this on the daily. Like if we start closing above the 200 EMA, continuing, that 50 is, the 50 moving average is going to cross the 200, and that's a golden cross. And that's pretty much setting you up for a bullish structure. So these are things that you need to keep in mind. I know a lot of people are bearish in the dollar right now. I think that the dollar will have its day where it's time to come down, and likely that's going to be when the Fed starts to cut rates. That's just you're going to get quantitative easing. Just happens to be that way. People are going to be unsure, and whether it be in stocks, in the dollar, or metals, you're going to see a lot of confusion, and you're going to see a lot of fluctuation at that point. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think the dollar is set up in a great place. Today was great news for it. And this is definitely going to impact, stocks and crypto. I mean, if this goes up, the others go down. It's as simple as that.
Look, while you're on the daily, pull up the total market cap for crypto because we have now given back all of the gains from 2 days ago.
Yeah, guys, and look what's here. And again, so that's what we had. This is where we are. Almost a complete bearish engulfing. We had it earlier, but also what's that up there? It's a little death cross that's coming on the daily. So we
And we're still highly overbought too.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is it is what it is, right? I mean, we see that a lot of these things are closing on the monthly at important levels. I was kind of, this is one that I wish was a little bit lower, not much lower, but just, a little bit lower. If it closed below this green line here at 1.024, that would have gave me, a lot of confidence that we're going to see an extremely violent start to September. Seeing this here, I think it's just,
hey, it could still get there, man.
Oh, I know it can.
We still got 5 hours left in the monthly close on crypto.
So we'll keep, yeah. I mean, if they decide to dump, hardcore, then yeah, absolutely. And that means that whatever scam pump that I do think we're going to see, because again, I think there's going to be a lot of liquidations. A lot of people are probably shorting here, and I haven't taken a look at crypto or anything like that, but I think a lot of people are shorting here. And if the market knows that there's liquidity, if they're going to pull the rug or they know it's going to completely go down, they're going to wipe it up. It's going to go up, take all the shorts out, and then all the people that long at the top are going to get their ass wiped on the way down. I don't know if that made any sense, but pretty much everyone that has money in the market and is over leveraged and playing these games right here and these violent moves are probably going to get hurt. That's what we saw the past 2 days, right? A lot of people longing at the top. Next thing you know, we're right back at the bottom. So with how important some of these closes are, I think that there are still some games that are going to be played, but this is insane for the total market cap of crypto. That head and shoulders pattern that we called, months ago played out to a fucking T, did it not? I mean, look, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We broke the parallel channel. We're below the 200 EMA and the 50. Looks like it's oversold. It's going to be oversold on the weekly, but that could stay oversold for a period of time, just as it stayed overbought for a period of time. And again, you can close and go 0-0, but it doesn't mean that the Bitcoin and all these other coins can't continue to drop. So that's an important thing to keep an eye on, right? And again, this is a massive bull. Not bull flag, but a bear flag. And if this breaks down, it's going to at least come down to the origin. And then, I mean, for me, that's somewhere around $723 billion for a total market cap. Just something you got to keep in mind. I mean, we look at total three too, right? Again, all these death crosses are coming very soon, in the next few weeks. I mean, the further we go down, the faster the 50 is going to move. It's imminent. There's so much that we can look at. I want to look at ETH real quick because, all right, I got tons of weird structures here for ETH. Let me just clean this up real quick. Sorry, guys. Just trying.
That's weird.
I tried everything.
That's a lot for you, man. That's so
I know, guys. I'm sorry.
Know. All the waves. I think the waves, man.
The waves are crazy, but hey, they've been helping us, have they not? I mean, the structure has been playing out pretty well. But yeah, this is ETH on the weekly. We're gonna go to the daily because this is the important one. I just want to show it to you on the show. I tweeted about it last night. There it is. Hallelujah.
This is when we need the death cross,
I know.
soundbite.
Death cross. Something like that. Bro.
Yeah, something along those lines would be really cool. Like, just it says Death Cross on the screen and like red letters are like dripping blood. That would be pretty cool.
And then we get for some reason that there's no motorcycle on screen, but we just hear a motorcycle engine rev. I don't know. That'd be
I
fun.
love it. Like you should make like the Undertaker.
The Undertaker, the American Badass version, or the
No, his like walk up music for Undertaker
oh, okay,
from back
that's
in
true
the day.
too.
That'd be a good
Because
one. Anyway,
American,
sorry. We need to get
I was
we gotta get back on track here.
okay. I was just gonna bring up the Limp Bizkit when he came in to that on WrestleMania that one year.
Oh
Amazing. But
God.
anyways, fucking ETHUSD. We got the Death Cross. This is the thing I want people to be cautious about. Just because we got the Death Cross doesn't mean that we're going to go down immediately. There's a lot of fuckery in this market. There's just a lack of liquidity. There are things that we're seeing. We're seeing TUSD continue to be minted. I tweeted you, or I sent a message to you guys earlier today saying that 50 million more got minted, and it went right to Huobi. Huobi and Binance, I'm keeping an eye on. A lot of crazy shit going on there. That's Justin Sun CZ. So if we do see any pumps or anything like that, understand that they could be easily reversed, just like we saw, you know, yesterday or today. I mean, past 3 days that we've seen this pump, and now we got the dumps, right? So we're extremely overbought on the daily, but I do think that this is going to help us, start to curve. We got this death cross here. The last time we got a death cross in a bear market, it did trend down without putting in another high. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But this is important. I think that we're not going to get to, maybe we do again. There's still a lot of time left. If we get below 1627 on the monthly close, that'd be pretty amazing because we could see that we found a lot of support on this level. And that means that our next level of support would likely to be tested is 1463, which is a huge move for Ethereum, right? It's not impossible. We saw where Evergrande came down. It was at 1540 or something like that. It moved fast. It dropped $200 in a matter of 10 minutes. So the ETH can move fast when it wants to. We just have to see, how this next few months plays out. But Death Cross is not a good thing on the daily. That means that you are going to see bearish continuation going forward. But you have to understand that there can be these pumps that could liquidate people. So again, I'm beating the hammer on this because I don't want anyone to get liquidated if they are shorting. Low leverage is always something you have to keep in mind because you got to protect your position. You don't want to get destroyed, and then you end up being right about the market in the long term, right? So just be safe out there. ETH is one that got a death cross. We got a lot of other death crosses that are coming in soon. I do want to pull up Binance too. So 212 was a level that I really wanted to see us close the monthly underneath. We put in a pretty good candle today, right? We got an insane amount that we pushed down to. Let me get rid of this. I don't need that. But I do think that if we get below 212, that means that we might finish wave one. Might get a bit of a bounce. But if we get a wave three and that takes us below that 200 level and we go down to like the 180s, I think there's a good chance that Binance could be on its way to absolutely collapsing BNB. And again, the reason why, if you look back historically on this chart, we can see how little support there is in this range. From below here, there is absolutely nothing to about $45. So I'm not saying, short this thing. I'm saying, watch out because if this does collapse at any point, that could be the catalyst for bringing down Bitcoin and everything closer to that 20K level. Also, could bring Matic down to 30 cents. I think there's just going to be a lot of panic because, again, they are the world's biggest exchange right now. Even though they have extremely low volume, I mean, that's just an onboarding, onboard and off ramp for a lot of people globally. So keep an eye on this. I think this is going to be a really important one to watch out. Again, this is the reason why I was shorting BNB because there's not a lot of support there. And if they just gave me, the technical, just looking at this from a technical analysis standpoint, like we're in a very cautious area. And again, every time we go below this area, we bounce off of it. We found support off of it once, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're finding it right now, but we're back in the zone right here, and you can see it right here. And if we continue to close in this, we can see that we're overbought on the daily. We're going to close the monthly, most likely in the zone. There's a good chance that we start to see some of those lower values tested. And again, we do know the SEC filed that exhibit against, 30-something exhibits against Binance. We don't know what that's about. Just keep in mind, there's definitely a narrative here. We're seeing the price action react to it. We got to be cautious, though. And that's what I think the most important thing about September is be cautious. Don't get ahead of yourself, but understand that we are in a very dangerous place for I think equities and crypto, and it could go real fast, real quick. And, before you know it, a lot of people might get trapped.
Let's take a look at Tesla as
Yeah.
we close out the month here. They are moving into the overbought territory. There are a lot of renewable energy stocks have been getting beat up pretty good lately, and I want to kind of see what we think Tesla is going to do. I know that there's more waves, just waves everywhere. Well, it bounced off a pretty low level earlier in the month. Still going to close the month in the red. It got down to like 214, currently at 258. Heading into September, like there's no as of right now, there's no major catalyst for Tesla.
Right.
What are you seeing in the charts?
Yeah. So I had a 5 wave structure here a second ago, and I looked at it, and in some way, there's got to be subsets here, and I'm counting these waves right now. I'm thinking this might have been one massive wave one. We might be in a wave two right now, and I think this is the way I saw it for Apple and a couple of other stocks. In other words, this is the corrective wave from the first move down. We could be in store for wave three. And again, this is there's going to be sub waves within bigger waves, but I think that's seeing how overbought it is on the daily and understanding where we're going when we're going into September. I think that a lot of people are going to be closing positions. We do have corporate taxes that are due September 15th, so we have to keep that in mind. We're going to have to see how this plays out. But again, isn't I think the S was it the DOJ that just filed a suit against Tesla or Elon Musk? I can't remember. I feel like there's so much data that comes out, but I believe there's something that came out about that. So that can't be necessarily a good thing for price. That might be a bit of a limiter on price action there. But I could be wrong. I think that we are definitely going to see continuation downward trend. We're overbought, like I said. If you look in the weekly, we're oversold, but at the same time, that could stay there for a period of time. Let's look at the monthly. Monthly is likely to be overbought fairly soon. And again, it's if we look at this on the monthly close, it really hasn't the price hasn't changed too much from the months prior. So it does look like it's trending downwards. I think that we will see continuation there. And again, some of these macro factors like the stochastic RSI probably are going to get us to a place where it's overbought, but there's still room for downside, even though that the price is bouncing on the shorter time frames. So I think that we are going to continue trending downwards. I think we're in this C wave correction. So that means we bounced up here. It's likely that we continue our way down. I'm not saying $64 by the end of September. I'm not that crazy, but I am definitely thinking that we're going to be moving in that direction with a few bounces along the way. But if we do get some really bad news, something does happen, likely we're going to see this market move faster than we would anticipate. And again, that could be days where it loses $15 of its stock price per share. We could see days where it just maybe trade sideways. I think September is going to be a very tricky month to start off, but I think as we progress, we're going to start to get more clarity on how detrimental it might be to end the month and what might be in store for October if it seems like nothing is mounting to any positivity in the markets and we're just seeing liquidity drain. So I think Tesla for sure is going to continue the C wave. I have no reason to believe otherwise. I think that it's going to be the same scenario for a lot of other stocks, whether it's Meta, Netflix, Apple. I think a bit of a bounce here is a good way to trap people before the monthly close and get people excited to keep longing, and then you can just pull the rug from underneath. But I'm seeing the trend is down.
Yeah. We also cannot forget that student loans begin accruing interest tomorrow, and payments begin in October for people. So there is some catalysts ahead that could cause it to be a bumpy Q4. That is for sure. If you got
what percentage rate?
That's a really great question. I have no idea.
It'd be interesting if it goes with inflation, where it's just it's not locked or fixed or anything like that. That'd be terrible.
If you had a variable rate student loan, is that a thing?
I don't know. That's why I didn't go to college.
That's man. It's been a long time since I was in college, but yeah. So just something to keep in mind there is like spending is going to take a hit, and debt is consumer debt is going to continue to trend up. And while people have used credit card debt's an all-time high, but if you look at it compared to savings and income,
Bullshit.
blah blah blah. Well, sure, maybe that was true for a while, but we have, like we've talked about, 44 million Americans who are going to start having to pay student loans again, and that is, and the last I checked, the average student loan payment was like $350 a month. That's a lot of money that's going to be going to student loans. That's a lot of money that's going to have to come from elsewhere. Some of these discretionary spending, companies that rely on discretionary spending, keep an eye out. They're going to start to see some hits on their P&Ls for sure. So
let's see how unemployment plays out too, right? Because if these kids can't afford it, I mean, let's be honest, most of the people that are going to get unemployed are usually newly, last to be hired, first to be fired. So it's a lot of college kids, most likely, people who just enter the workforce, still have, student loan debt. And there they are, right? There they are with $350 on average, and they have no job. So it's going to be really dicey seeing how this plays out.
Yeah, with rent at high points, with mortgages at high points, you know, gas, like energy going back up again. It's the
It's
writing's on
not
the wall,
great.
man. Like I don't know. Like maybe we're just wrong, Kevin. Maybe everything's a mirage and we're just wrong. But I don't think so. I think that
No,
we're in
not wrong.
for pain.
We just need to be sensible. Again, we cannot get too ahead of ourselves because that'll fuck us in the end. But there is a narrative that's playing out here, right? I think everything is lining up to a bad come on, fucking printed the most money in history of the United States in the last 2 years or something like that. Fucking rates increased like 5,000% within 1 year. Let's not shit ourselves. This doesn't fucking end well. The only thing is, how long does it fucking act stupid and irrational before we start to see a lot of their mistakes come to fruition? That's the thing we have to keep an eye out for. But I think everything right now is leading up for major downside. Even again, not financial advice, but it just seems like everything is lining up for destruction. Hate to be that grim about it, but I have to be fucking honest. Prepare, make sure you're not being stupid with debt or anything like that. But I don't know. I don't see a world where this ends well. And I'm fine being called an asshole and a loser and a bum for the next 2 months, 3 months, if that means that I'm right 4 months from now, but I was able to survive to that point. So that's all I got to say on
A
that.
lot of people out there want to be the smartest person in the room. I just want to make as much money as possible. I don't really
Exactly. It's
mind
all that matters.
what most people think. But that is going to be how we wrap it up for today, closing out the month. Appreciate everybody who was here today. Randy, Mr. House, Mark, Chris. I'm sure Ace will pop in at some point, watch the replay, smash that thumbs up. Appreciate you all. Speaking of, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, share us out on social, any of that good stuff. We're just getting started. Looking forward to kicking off September with everyone tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. We will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.